Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Just a Girl and Her Knitting. My name is Heather. It is, what day is today? I always forget, December 2nd. I'm coming at you from a cold Spokane Valley, Washington. Yesterday was pretty, but today it is freezing. So I wanted to say thank you to everybody who is coming back to watch me, and for any new viewers, thank you as well. I don't know what that's doing, but we'll just deal with that later. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry. I will link those down below the video. So I guess let's just get started. It's been a busy month. November was pretty busy. We had birthdays, we had Thanksgiving. Trying to think if we had anything else. I don't think so. Not any major holiday. Well, Veterans Day, but we don't celebrate that with family and stuff. But okay, we have a few projects. I don't know where to start. A few whips. A few future projects that I've got to cast on today. We'll see if I cast them on this morning. It's 5:34 in the morning. I couldn't sleep, so here we are. I'm hoping that my hair doesn't stick straight out. So where do we get started? Do we just start with socks? That seems to be where we always start. Yeah, let's start with socks. And of course I put the socks underneath all the other things. So the first pair we're going to start with, in the last video I said, oh, I've knit all 24 pairs of socks for my husband for Advent, or for his Advent calendar that I do for him, which is I knit him 24 pairs of socks a year, and he starts opening them on December 1st. He gets more socks throughout the year, but I tend to get them all. The bulk of his socks he gets for Christmas time. He doesn't always get a pair of socks for his birthday because his birthday's in June. So I try to knit them for him. This is the second year I've done this. Well, this is the second year I've done 24 pairs, 25 total, because he'll get a pair on Christmas, which I'll show you which pair he's getting on Christmas. They're not done, they're whip, but this is the second year I've done a full 24 pairs. I have done like 12 for him to open on Christmas. So this will be his first year, or second year for 24. I have them. Last year I had a Madeline Tosh Advent calendar that I got, and it comes in this little box with these numbers 1 through 12. It was only a 12-day calendar. And I used that. Well, he wears a size 14, so they didn't fit very well in the boxes. So this year I decided to just get paper lunch sacks. I stamped them with the front door and then just put the number 1 through 24 on it. So those are what all of his socks are living in. So let's get back to where I was going with all of this. So with that being said, here I was thinking I was done. I wasn't. I was a pair short. So with that being said, I went ahead and cranked him another pair. So here is this pair. Cranked on my machine, a 30 round, hung hem. What I did differently on this pair at least, is I hung the hem, I cranked a whole tube, and didn't end with toes. I didn't do short row toes. So this is a Zauber ball, a crazy ball, and I think this is a sport weight ball. I'm almost positive this is sport weight yarn because it's a little thicker. So when it's thicker, I can't do heels and toes on my machine because I engage my heel spring to make the stitches tighter because you want them tight in your heels and toes. So I opted not to do that. Instead, what I did was I just cranked, I think I cranked 200 rows after the cuffs. Then I took out 2 inches. So I just ripped back 2 inches and did the toe, which is a standard SSK, knit 2 together, knit around until 14 stitches remain. I think it's 14. Yeah, because these are on the 72 cylinder. I hadn't switched out my cylinder yet. These are on the 72 cylinder. And then I just cut in and did an afterthought heel with the leftover yarn that I had. So here's 2 pairs. They're fun. He likes the Zauber balls. I like the Zauber balls too. They're very hard wearing. I actually have to go put these upstairs in his, I think it's day 19 that I left empty for these. So when I was putting together his advent, all of his socks for the month, I was actually short 2 pairs. So, sorry, there's air in my mouth. I knew I had another pair. I just couldn't remember where it was. So I came down and I had worked on socks throughout the year. I was putting them away. Somehow one of his pairs got put away in the wrong spot. And one of mine got put in his spot. It happens. So my next pair of socks are a test knit. They were a test knit for Nancy Wheeler of Knit Sit Pappy. I'm gonna say this is my last pair of test knit socks for the year, guys. I don't think she said anything about another pair coming out. At least not that I know of. So this is my last pair. And I don't know if I'm gonna be test knitting socks next year. We shall see. We shall see. See how things go. So these are going to be released. They're not released yet. And I don't know that they have an official name. But these were knit. So last year I got the Mandy's Making Share Pair Kit. Here's her tag. Let's see. You would think I always do this. Okay, so the colorway is the Staples. So Mandy's Makings does share pairs where you get 2 50-gram skeins of yarn and then somebody else gets 2 50-gram skeins of yarn. So they're half skeins. So here are the 2 colors. One is variegated and one is solid. Each are 50 grams. It's enough to make a pair of socks. Matching socks? Technically not. But you can mix it up. Like you can do heels, toes, and cuffs out of this one and make your whole sock this. And then heels, toes, and cuff out of this one and make your whole sock this. And so they're mismatched. You can also, I can get 2 pairs of shorties out of these. So I can do that as well. But these ones are kind of fun. So they're these slip stitches. And they go down to the toe. So they start at the top and go down. And you switch, the slip stitches switch for each colorway. Heel, flap, and gusset. And then the other one is in reverse colors. So the idea is if you have 50-gram balls of yarn, you could even do it with mini skeins actually, because each you could do a main color and then a different mini skein. You could do it in self-striping too. I think self-striping would have been cool. I just knew I wanted to use this one. Everyone was saying that it looks like fall. There's a Christmas ornament I found at Hallmark that has Santa sitting in his brown recliner in his little Santa suit. And it just reminded me of that. This color reminds me of Santa's little suit and his beard and his gold buckle. So I picked this color. Sorry if you guys can hear my dog. She's trying to get comfortable in her bed. Her bed is right underneath this desk right here. There's a desk. You good? She's good. So this is the room I'm working out of until my other side of until the other room out there is done. And this becomes the baby's room. So she sleeps underneath the desk in her bed while I work. So anyways, sorry guys. So we have a pair of socks. I only used, so they're fun. These are knit on the these are 72 stitches knit on a US 1.1 US 1 2.25 millimeter Chiaogu needle, because those are my go-to. I did magic loop for these. They were easy. It's very memorizable. So if you are looking for a pattern that you can memorize, you want potato chip knitting, this is a good one. All of Nancy's patterns generally are that way. There's only been a couple of them that I've had to really really stop and think about. I had 21 grams left of each of these. Haven't decided what I'm going to do with them yet, but there's 21 grams. So I have to figure out what I'm going to do. Let's see. Trying to decide what way I want to go. Do I show you guys? So they're not technically done, but what I did do, because I'm trying to, well, because I'm going to eventually make a bunch of them. That one is a hot mess. So I went ahead and I cranked up a whole bunch of scrap yarn. So remember I was talking about how I would like to try to make a jelly roll blanket, but instead of hand knitting it, I'm going to crank it on my machine. Well, I did that. So I took a whole bunch of scrap yarns. So here's some more. You can see there's, this one had a little bit more, this one had a little less, this one had even less. Here's some more. These are socks from my husband's that I knit him years ago. This is when we got married. I just tied the things in, so I'm going to go in and fix that later. When we got married, I knit him his tie. Our colors were navy blue and yellow, I think. It was a backyard wedding, quite literally. We got married in his parents' backyard. But I knit him a tie out of that. There's just a random leftover gold from something. My ex-mother-in-law, I knit her a scarf out of this pink. I sample knit for Hue Loco years ago. This was her highlighter colorway. This one right here. These I have socks out of. This was a gradient yarn from Knit Picks. This is in one of my Stephen West shawls. This is another pair of socks I knit my husband. So I went through and I found scrap yarns that were 10 grams or less. If it was over 10 grams, I just took 10 grams off because I can use 10 grams for other things too. So here's another one. These are socks. These are socks I made for my daughter. These are from Shorty Socks for my husband. Another Stephen West. The socks for my husband and my son. He has socks like in this too. A Musselboro hat, the very first one I knit. A hat for my daughter. Socks for my husband. A hat for my son. This is a pair of socks. This one is leftover from socks. So what I did was I went through and I have, do I get it? It's gonna be noisy. Do I get it? Do I? Let's get it. Let's see if I can get it. We'll try to be quiet. So I have a few of these. So all of my scrap yarns from socks and hats and different, all my fingering weight. There's a few non-fingering weights in here, but we're not picking those out. You can see all of them. So I have a few of these Ziploc bags. Shh, you're noisy. And, or vacuum storage bags that I have been putting my yarns in. They were somewhere else, but I don't. Most of these are all socks that I've cranked since getting my machine last year in September. But so what I've been doing is I'm weighing them, anything 10 grams or more. I take 10 grams off and I put them on a cone. So like these are ready to, this has some on it. I weigh my cones. So each of my cones have been weighed. And I don't know if you'll be able to see inside. Kind of. So I put the weight on them and then I just crank until it's 100 plus however much the cone weighs. And then I crank off each of these tubes are 448 rows. Gets me about 48 inches. They're about 4 inches wide, 4.5 inches wide. So 4.5 inches by 48 inches. And so I've got 3 of them done. I had to crank some tubes for an Etsy order, so I haven't finished that, or I haven't worked on it again, but I need to. I need to go through and cone up some more yarn on my machine, or put more yarn on my cones. But so I started it. I have to figure out how I'm going to connect it. I have the yarn to connect it. I just have to figure that out. I don't know if you crochet it together, sew it together. Working on that. But I started the tubes, so we've gotten that far. It's a definite good use of some yarn. It ate quite a bit so far. 300 grams. That's quite a bit. All right, let's move on. So we have a few baby items. Again, I have been busy making more baby stuff because this baby's coming before you know it. Still have a lot to do before she comes, but we're getting there. So I knit out of scraps. I had, years ago I used to get the post stitch subscription where you would get, in the one I got the sock yarn and I got the regular project, the big stitch, big post stitch, something like that. And you would get the yarn, the needles, a pattern, and like notions and different things like that. They've since closed, but it was kind of a cool way to try different yarns. It was quite a few indie dyers yarns that I typically wouldn't have thought to buy. Like I've gotten some Brooklyn Tweed, Quince & Co. I think Madeline Tosh was in there a few times, which I've had. So there was quite a few options. Like you got a few, and it was a surprise. And each pattern came with or each box came with a pattern. I don't remember if it came with knit pattern or crochet pattern. I think it was just knit. I don't remember crochet, but they did have some, like if it required a crochet hook, they gave you your crochet hook and your needle. It was all Chiaogo needles. So the bulk of my non-sock needles, actually a few of my sock needles, came from that. You would sometimes get interchangeables and stuff. So it since has stopped, but in that process, I made a shawl. What was the name of it? I did not bring my iPad down here. And it's out in the garage. It's in a vacuum bag and it's out in the garage. I've made 2 of them actually. But anyways, maybe I'll link it if I can figure it out. I used the scrap yarn to just knit up a baby hat. I don't even remember what yarn this is. This is how old it was. I mean, we're talking 6-7 years ago. So I just made a baby hat. I did a long rib, a 1x1 twisted rib, and then I alternated the blue and the white, or blue and the cream yarns. Just made a little baby hat. So this is project 1 that's finished. Project 2, this is knit out of Madeline Tosh Pashmina. It's also deep stash. I don't even remember what, this is just leftover. So here's another baby vertebrae, or newborn vertebrae, whichever one you want to call it. A really good go-to pattern. This child is going to have way too many sweaters. I don't even know how many she's up to now. I also had some leftover cotton yarn that I'd already made dishcloths out of, and I didn't want to make any more. So I just made another flax. This one's a flax worsted by Tin Can Knits. And this one actually has the garter panels, which I don't typically do. It's the 0 to 6 month size. You've seen a few of these already. I've knit them in other yarns. So I haven't figured out how to make baby socks on my machine yet. But you know what I did make? Baby socks by hand. So we have, this is knitted wit in the colorway that still, I have absolutely no idea what the colorway is. But my husband has a pair of socks in this exact same color. He gets to open them in his Advent socks. I don't even know what day it is. And then here's what's left. So I made him a pair of socks, and then I knit the baby a pair of socks. And then this is what I have left. I'm going to put this on a cone to add it to my jelly roll blanket. I need to come up with a different name for that. It's jelly roll inspired. But so this is just going to go in there. These take 7 grams each. So I need about 14 grams to knit a pair of little tiny baby socks. Aren't they adorable though? So there's a pair of socks. On my sock tube, you saw this one. This is a Regia. It's a rainbow yarn. So here's another pair. They're so hard to show. But they're so stinking cute. And this is what I had left of this. My daughter has a pair of socks just like these. But this is what I have left, which I'm putting on a cone. So sometimes I have extra for some reason. I think back when I first started knitting and knitting socks, I thought you needed 2 balls of yarn for socks. You only needed 1, so I have quite a few that I had 2 balls. I've already knit socks and whatnot, or I knit socks for people who have smaller feet, and so I'm left with even more yarn. So here's another pair of fun tiny baby socks. And then here's another pair. This was the first pair I knit her. This is out of Polka Dot Creek, which I know because I've been using it for a little while. I say polka dot creek. Polka dot sheep. Polka dot sheep is in Montana. Polka dot creek is in Canada. And this is in their Tenderfoot. It's an 80/20, and it's in the Hyacinth colorway. But these are the very first ones I knit. I ended up with probably 2 grams left of this. So here's these tiny little baby socks. How cute are they? It's just a 2x2 rib. I cast on 32 stitches on a US 1.5 millimeter needle. I don't have it down here because it's got other socks I've started another pair for. But whatever a 1.5 is it 2.5 millimeter needle? So it's 32 stitches. You knit a 2x2 ribbing for 2.5 inches. You do a heel flap and gusset, which takes 2 seconds. Then you do your gusset decreases to get back to your 32 stitches, so 16 per needle. 2.5, knit to 2.75 inches, and then do your toes. So, such tiny little baby socks that I just dropped. Ouch. So stinking cute. I sent them to my husband when I finished them, and he was like, what did you just make? And I was like, little baby socks. He's like, oh my word, those are adorable. So, you guys remember this yarn, right? I've been working on a blanket for little miss baby. Well, her blanket's done. So the last time I saw you guys, I was here. I have since finished it. So this is the Love Knot blanket. I don't remember the designer's name. I don't remember it at all. And like I was saying, my iPad's not down here. It's upstairs. I forgot to bring it down with all my stuff I brought down. I will link it. Sorry guys. I will link it down below. So what you do with this blanket, it is knit out of polka dot sheep in the Hyacinth colorway on Tenderfoot. It's their 80/20 yarn. So you start in the middle with a pinhole cast on. I feel like it's dark in here. Is it dark in here to you guys? Here, let's see if we can turn some lights on. I don't fit very well anymore. I've gotten stuck a couple times places and like, I don't fit. So, these are my first world problems today. We're taking stuff upstairs because we're still in the process of doing our basement, which we've gotten closer. We've poured the self-leveler in this room, so the floor is level. Finally, after I don't know, we lived in this house for 7 years, 8 years. It was a nightmare. It's got old asbestos tile on the flooring. We had to cover it. Anyways, so you start with the pinhole cast on in the middle. The pattern, you do yarn overs to increase, but instead what I did was I just used the increases from the muscle burrow hat. I really like how that looks, and then that way I don't have to worry about her little fingers getting stuck. But then you increase out to the final stitch count, which is like 125 stitches per side, and then you knit on this cable border. So there's a knitted cable border. I hope you can see it. It's kind of hard to see, but you knit it all the way around. I hope it will focus. It's kind of hard to see, isn't it? I guess because of the color of the yarn. There's duck hair in this. You can kind of see it here. But you just knit on. So you're knitting a row and decreasing at the same time. And then you just purl back across. But it's finished. You go all the way around. My corners, my mitered corners are a little funky, but I think it's okay. It's for a baby. She's not gonna know. But that is finished. So that was, once I got through, let me take my stitch marker off. Once I got through all the increase rounds, doing this knit on border took some time. It was definitely, it didn't take as long as I thought it was going to, but it did take some time. It was a process. So her blankie is finished. She has matching little socks. Can you see? Okay, there you go. You can see it now. You can see the cable. So that's where the decreases happened. And then there's the cable, so you can see it now. But that was exciting. So it took me about a month to knit, I think. I'll have to look. I'll link it down below. All right, so what to show you next? Do I show you my, let me put these over here. So last time I showed you in my Daisy Girl project bag, last time I showed you a giant sock wheel, sock tube wheel of Lolo Did It sock blanks that were cranked. So I've, since last time, I separated it all into, I went with 12 inches. I didn't do 11, I did 12. So I started, and then I'll show you guys. This is kind of dark. This is the yarn I'm using. It's a, came in like a knit crate, I think, and I just overdyed it purple. I didn't like the original color, so I overdyed it. But it's a sock yarn. I think it's an 75-25 maybe. Maybe an 80-20. So I started separating it. So I put on a cuff. So what I'm doing is I'm going through and doing all the cuffs first. I'm just doing 10 rows of 2x2 rib. Dark colors are always hard to show, it seems like. So, and then these are just hanging out. Once I finish all the cuffs, I'll weigh out. It takes me about is it a gram to do each cuff? Not very much. So once the cuffs are done, then I will start on the toes. So if I have to get a different yarn, then I can do that for the cuffs, or the toes will get whatever. This one I need to pull out a few rows because it's a little bit longer. But so I've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with cuffs on them. But wait, there's more, guys. Excuse me. So remember how I told you I separated them all? Here's all the rest of them. So, and then I'm just picking them up, and whatever way I pick them up is where I put the cuffs in. There's no rhyme or reason to it. They're all 12 inches. They're supposed to be mismatched. There will be 25 socks. That's how many I got, was 25. Sorry, my heater just turned on. It's cold. So there will be 25 socks. So this will be enough to keep me busy. I still have more. Hold on, I got more. So this is something that I have. I set it down here next to my desk. If I have some downtime, I'm not in a huge hurry to get it finished, but I will eventually work on them. If I have downtime, I put a cuff in. And then last one. So there will be 25 total socks. I think if I would have, I probably could have gotten an even number. I could always take a pair out or take one out. I don't care. So we got that going. That's actually been kind of fun. Once I separated them all, it was quite a lot of fun to get it all going. So that's something I started. That's something I've been working on for my daughter. I don't know when they'll be finished. There's no timeline on it. They're all Lolo Did It sock blanks from a club I had years ago. They are all, the tube was cranked on my 64 cylinder on my Erlbacher. Okay, why is this so hard? On my sock knitting machine, which is right here. Nothing, just one long tube. That's all I did, was one giant tube. So keeping in the style of sock tubes, so when I am going through my big bin here, my big bag here of sock yarns, anything that's 40 grams or more, I am just coning up and cranking tubes. So I don't remember what yarn this is at all. I had 40 grams, 44 grams, I think. So my plan is, I don't know how much knitting I'm gonna be able to get done in the first months, years, I don't know. This baby is probably coming in January. So I wanted to have projects, stuff I can work on here and there if I need something to keep myself entertained. And I was talking to my husband about it, and I'm like, what should I, like, how should I do this? And he's like, I don't know. And I thought about just cranking socks and having them to Kitchener the toes together. And I thought, well, if I can't sleep or something and the baby's sleeping, I can crank a sock. It takes me an hour. I can crank a pair of socks in an hour. Not a big deal. But I thought, if we go somewhere, we're in the car, because I'm always knitting in the car if I don't have to entertain her. But what about sock tubes? So that's what I've been doing. So this one had about 40 grams. I already separated, measured and separated where that one's gonna go. This one I have a pair of socks out of already. And I did them all on my 64 cylinder. For now, I might do some thicker ones. Well, technically I did this pair, but that pair I loosened my tension. Here's another one. This one's separated as well. But I thought, if I do 72 or 64 stitches, when I add in the cuffs and the heels, then I can decide who they're for. So if I want to still knit gifts for people, I can do that. This is one of my very first colorways I got from a club, like a socks, like a subscription. And I've knit socks out of it, and they're so worn out. I stopped wearing them, but nope, this wasn't a club. This is Hedgehog. This is Hedgehog fibers. I got this at Knit Coeur d'Alene. This one I got from a club. I actually remember, now that I think about it, I remember this. I got it when I had my surgery. I had a jaw surgery years ago, 7-8 years ago. And I remember getting this because I knit socks during my recovery, because I was off work for about a month because my job required me to talk, and you can't do that when your jaw's broken. So this is Hedgehog. That one was, I don't even remember the colorway. I don't have the tag. Actually, I might have the tag, but I'm not gonna look for it. So that's my plan. In my scrap bin, and this is only scraps so far, I am cranking out anything that's 40 grams or more into sock tubes. This one was almost 100 grams. I have tried, you know how sometimes you guys, we have the best intentions and we go to knit a pair of socks and the socks just aren't working out no matter how many times we try? That's this yarn right here. I don't know how many times I've started and stopped and ripped out socks in this yarn, but it was in multiple balls, so I just tied it together and just did it in a long tube. I could probably get 2 pairs of socks out of that if I wanted to, or a pair of really long ones, a few pairs of shorties, I'm not sure. But so that's what I'm working on. Anything 40 grams or more gets turned into a sock tube to then be knit into socks later at a later date. No timeline on those, just something to keep me entertained. Because like I said, I don't know how this baby's gonna do. She might be the easiest little child in the entire world. The last time I did tiny babies was 19 years ago. My youngest is 19. My oldest is 21. So we'll see. And then here's another one. So this is a Cascade Heritage print in, can you guess? If you were to guess, what do you think it is? Seahawks, you guessed right. I do love Cascade though, especially their Heritage. It is such a strong yarn. I've already knit 2 pairs of socks out of this. Remember when I said that for some reason in my brain I thought you needed 2 balls of yarn? I had 2 of these. I knit a pair of socks for my daughter and my husband. One of my very first pairs I knit him a pair of short socks out of this. So this was cranked on my Erlbacher. This one I did 64 stitches, but I loosened my tension, and so these will fit him as well. So here's another pair, or another tube. So I'll end up probably splitting this in half and finding something for heels, toes, and cuffs. So those are future, you know, put it in a diaper bag or in my purse. Actually, I probably won't have a purse. Put it in the diaper bag, in a plastic bag with the needles and stuff. And if we go somewhere and somebody's holding her, then I can work on it. Those are my thoughts. We'll see how well that works out. Let's see, how do I want to go about the next? So, since we're still talking about socks and sock knitting, we have, it is December 2nd, so that means we are in the absolute depths of Advent knitting. For those of you who do Advent knitting, Advent calendars, Advent anything, I am in the middle. I haven't quite finished day 2 yet, so, and by the time this goes, I don't think this will go up today. It might. We'll see how much work I have to do if I can get this uploaded. Well, I watch my videos and then I upload them. But we have the start of my, I don't know why you cannot see. I don't know why it's so dark. Maybe watch, sorry. Oops. Oh, maybe it was just my screen. My screen was down. So we have the start of a Woolens and nosh. These are the DK. So I ordered 2. I ordered the So Woolens and Nosh 2024 Advent. This is the High Twist DK. It's 100% superwash merino. There's no nylon in this. I wonder if last year's was the same way. Oh well. We'll see how they work out, I guess. Usually it's Targi. Anyways, so I have day 1 and almost day 2. The black right here separates the days. So you can knit to the black, or you can knit through the black and stop on the next color. So, and then I'm doing these in tandem. I haven't started the second one yet, but I do have the cuff done. So I'm gonna, once I finish day 2, I'm going to then do day 1 and 2 on the other one, and then just continue on that way. So here's that project. That's my, until I get that done, that's my work knitting, break knitting. Well, it shouldn't take me too long. Shouldn't, keyword. Before I get into my last whip that I pulled out of the depths of, you know, wherever they were, my husband asked me to knit some socks for, well, one group is our friends, the other group he plays Call of Duty with. So one of the guys and his girlfriend, fiance, they're going to get married in October, September, something like that, used to work next to us when I used to work at the airport. And so we became friends. And they moved to Fargo, North Dakota for a job, and then have since moved to Wyoming. Well, they're friends. They come back in March. They came back in September because they're doing wedding planning. They're getting married here in the area. And so my husband's like, can you make them some socks for Christmas? I'm like, sure, no problem. So I coned up 3 socks. During lunchtime, I'm going to work on them. All right, coned up 3 sock yarns. The first one is a polka dot sheep. I got this one at the same time I got the baby's yarn. And their Tenderfoot, which is an 80/20. This is a one-off colorway, but this is a color. So it's all coned up. It's ready to go. It's this really pretty blues. It's like, reminds me of coffee. Like a latte. So here's one. I stick the tags inside my cones so that I don't lose them. Here is another. So I think this pair is for the friend because I already have his fiancés ready to go. And then another friend who actually used to live here, worked at the same company as the friend that moved to North Dakota. He lives in Casper, Wyoming. I'm going to knit this pair for him. This is Yarnable in their plush sock. It's a September 2024 colorway, Appley Ever After plush sock, 85.15. So this is going to be his. I think pretty much going to knit the guys the same size. One wears a 9, one wears a 10. Pretty much knit them the same size and then decide from there. And then for the friend in Casper, his wife, I'm using the Yarnable in the August 2024 colorway, which is Neon Graffiti. I coned it a little funky. So I'm going to knit hers out of this. I think that will be fun. crank the socks. I'm not knitting them, but I'm going to crank them. So these are going to go on my machine, hopefully today. At least start them. Get them started. So last but not least, we have, I mean, there's always more whips. Everybody has, well, not everybody. I know I have a lot of whips, but I was in between projects and I didn't know what to work on. I think a lot of us end up that way. I didn't necessarily want to start something new because it's Christmas and it's Advent knitting season. I didn't want to start something new because I know I have a couple Christmas projects I need to work on. One Christmas project I need to work on, but I'm waiting on the yarn for that. I've already knit a lot of them, but in case I decide to throw something else in the mix, like dishcloths or whatever, I didn't know what to work on. I was stumped. And I'm looking around to see if there was anything that I was working on. I picked up a sweater, but I wasn't happy with it, so I think I'm going to rip it out. I'm trying to think. I have my other Advent socks that I'm working on, but I have them over here. I cheated. I cranked the tubes. It's my yarn. I can do what I want. But I'm not going to show it because I don't want to ruin it for everybody else. So anyways, so in that whole not sure what to do with myself, what to work on, I was kind of stumped. I spent a lot of time upstairs by myself because while my husband was grinding the floor, I couldn't be down here. We had to seal off all the doors and the air ducts and stuff so that we don't know if there was anything on the concrete that is, I mean, concrete dust probably isn't safe. He wore a mask, a ventilator mask, while he was grinding concrete, just in case he accidentally got the asbestos tile, which he tried to stay away from. I had to be upstairs, and so he was off all last week, the week of Thanksgiving, and so he worked on it, so I spent a lot of time not around him. So I went ahead and I picked up my Anthology throw by the Curious Handmaid, Helen Stewart, and I started working on it again. So here was January main, January contrast, February main, February contrast, March main, March contrast, April main, April contrast, May's main color, and then here's May's contrast. I didn't bring tags down. Did I bring tags down? I have a tag. What was this one? Okay, so I do have April. April was this one. It's the Yarnable and the Plush DK. And I get the April Deluxe. It's a subscription that I get. It's an 85.15. Yep. And this was the, oh, this was a contrast. So this was Glazed and Amused. This one was some donut colorway. I don't remember what it was though. Do I have it? I don't have it. So it must be upstairs. So it is huge. There's 500 plus stitches on this needle. I was here the last time I showed you guys. And so I made some progress on it. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm starting the 5th set of colors. These are knit on my, I think it's a size 6. Yeah, a US size 6. They're on Lantern Moon knitting needles. I keep shaking my desk. And they're on a Knitter's Pride swivel cord for the blanket because it's so heavy already. The swivel cord is very handy to go get it. I only have that much of this round left. So it's got a lot of stitches. There's 500 and something stitches on this. 570, something like that. It's a lot. Let me put these over here. It is a lot. I need to find a project bag to put my sock tubes in. So, and I am, instead of getting out the pattern and keeping the pattern out, I think I have it printed off. I might somewhere. I have been writing down. So this starts the gray colors. So 124, I'm on row 124, starts gray, and then 132 starts the next colorway. And I just write down however many rows it is, and then if there's anything special in it, and then as I'm going through, I'm marking it off. And then I do it for about 4 colors, and then I'll do it again. That way I don't have to worry about keeping track of the pattern. I don't have to have the pattern out and mark it off constantly. I've just been doing it this way. It's worked for me so far. We'll see if it continues to work. I don't think I'm going to be able to complete this whole color, all 8 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the gray, I think, because I'm trying to save at least 10 grams of the contrast because they're only 50 gram skeins while my main colors are 100. I'm trying to save at least 10 grams for my crochet cardigan. So when I get closer, I'll weigh it, and if I start to run out, I'll just switch over to the main color. This was a problem I was running into when I was knitting this originally. I started knitting it out of my Polka Dot Creek Advent, and I kept running out of yarn, and it was frustrating. I wasn't finishing the rounds, and I'd run out, so I ripped it out, started something else. Since ripped that out last night, and I'm just gonna, I put it in big balls, and I'm just going to knit it. And then as the colors switch, they switch. I don't care. That's something I decided I just don't care anymore. I have tried multiple times to get something to work out, and I kept running out of yarn. So we're just gonna improvise and wing it, I guess, at this point. Do I have any other plans? Any other knitting plans? Any other plans in general? So for the month I have a hat to knit. I'm waiting on the yarn. Hopefully I'm getting that from Weird Sisters. I ordered, I made Dill, the baby that was born in October. I made him a flax sweater and hat out of Shark Week. Remember, it was a really, oh, here. This is a Shark Week colorway, guys. Had it in fingering weight. I made my husband a pair of socks. Baby's probably gonna get a pair of socks too. Red contrast. But, so I knit the baby a hat and sweater out of this. Well, Pickle, the big brother, who's 2, keeps wearing the baby's hat, and it only goes, it's like it barely covers the top of his head, and he loves it so much. So I went ahead and I ordered some yarn for him to make him one. I ordered him Shark Week, and I think Raven. It's a dark, it's a black blue. Hopefully that'll be here this week. so that I can cast it on. I don't think it'll take me very long to knit it. It's worsted weight. I'm going to do the Barley hat by Tin Can Knits. That's the same hat I did for the baby. I just didn't do the garter part. I just knit it straight. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to do that for Pickle. Give it to him for Christmas with his other Christmas present we just bought him. I have all my mother-in-law's socks ready to go. I have socks for Doug ready to go. I have socks for people ready to go because I knit those pretty much in January. Got all that finished. Knit some more baby socks. Once I finish these 3, I think I'm going to go ahead and try to knit socks on my machine for baby. We'll see. See how far I get. I have turned the heel on my meeting knitting. If you want to see. So this is a Regia Perfect. I did get the heel turned. So that's fun. These are for my husband. They were supposed to be for me. But remember, we've come to the conclusion that I don't need any more socks. So instead, these are for my husband. You guys, when I was looking, no, I wasn't looking for the socks. What was I doing? Oh, I know what I was doing. So my husband wears his hand knit socks from October to May. And then from May on to October, he wears his new cotton socks. I was trying to figure out the best solution to this sock nonsense. That's just what we're gonna call it. Sock nonsense. Well, what time is it? 6:35. Okay. I start work at 7. I went through all of his socks. And so for October, I put 31 pairs of socks in a vacuum seal bag, a variety. And then same for November, however many days are in November, I put them in a vacuum seal bag, put all of his cotton socks in there. December's not in there because he gets all of his socks for December every single morning, plus or minus a few. So those are all upstairs. But this way, as I wash the socks, like I don't have to wash socks for a whole month if I didn't want to. And I put them under the bed. So as the month ends, I pull out the vacuum seal bag, put them all in his sock drawer, then wash all those socks, put them away, vacuum seal them, put them up. In that process, I found socks that I forgot I even made for myself. And I'm like, when did I make these? So that became, reassurance that I don't need any more socks. Not for a really long time. 1 or 2 pairs here and there. My 2 Advent socks. Yes, those are going to be mine. But as far, these, I don't need them. I don't wear enough. I wear socks every day, but I have so many. Because I used to only knit socks for myself. I have so many. So now everybody else is going to get socks. I'm just going to make them for everybody else. Unless it's cashmere, then those might be mine. Or I might make hats. We'll see. But yeah, was like, oh my goodness. I didn't even know about these. I had no clue. And they're still in the bin where I left them because I was like, I'll come back to you later. I don't have the brain space to deal with you right now. And so I was just like, I have a problem. I have a sock problem. I have a lot of socks. And I'm not hard on my socks, so they last for a really long time. Whereas some people wear through their socks quickly. I don't. So anyways, there was that. That was something that I realized when I was taking care of all of the socks. I'm like, I don't need any more. I probably have 100 plus pairs of socks, 200 pairs of socks that are just mine, that I don't wear very often. I could give some of them away since some of them have never been worn. That I might also start doing. But yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy what you find when you're trying to organize and make room for things. So I guess that would also I also need to decide what I'm going to do with my Yarnable subscription for next year. That's something I've got to figure out because January 1st, it's not going to be that long away, less than a month, but I'll have my January and February, or January fingering weight and DK weight. So we'll have to see what I'm gonna do with that going forward. I'm not gonna cancel it, but I need to decide how I'm gonna use that yarn. I do like the blankets. I did ask for a new cylinder, a 48 stitch cylinder, so I can crank DK socks on my machine. Right now I can only do these were done on the 64, now that I think about it. So I can only do 64 stitches and 72 stitches. So I asked for the 48. We'll see if I get it. My husband said he already had something in mind, but I hinted that I wanted one. So we shall see. That would be cool. That would be cool. I would like that. Gonna keep working on my blankie. Keep cranking out some sock tubes for when I need something to knit. I'm trying to think. My meeting socks will probably get pushed to the side while I work on my Advent socks during meetings. It's the beginning of the month, so we have 3 meetings this week, actually. Tuesday and I think 2 on Thursday. So that will give me 4 hours of knitting time because I can't work during those. So yeah, I think that's it. December is going to be filled with trying to finish the basement, trying to finish the bathroom. My husband really wants to at least get the bathroom side done. He started grinding the floor there. Almost done with the drywall. Our plan is to pour self-leveling concrete on Sunday so it can dry, and then do flooring the following week. But he'll work on the drywall throughout the week. And then if we get that done, then we can prime, texture, prime, paint. Then we can have the plumbers come back and we can have them install the toilet and the tub. They already put the shower in. We could put the vanity in. And then we'll be ready for our final inspection on that. Hopefully that will be done by January 1st. that's a big project that we've been working on. It'll be nice. We're 2 years in since my husband does it himself while working full-time. We take the summers off because we go to the lake. But he wants to have it done hopefully before the baby comes so that I don't have to go upstairs. I go upstairs a million times now, but he's trying to avoid that when the baby comes. So we'll see how far we get. I think he's going to try to come home every day after work and work on it some. That's mostly what other than my knitting, that's all we're doing. It's winter time, so we don't go really anywhere. We don't really do anything. We don't leave the house unless we have to. Ugh, sorry, I'm tired. I didn't sleep very much last night. But so I think I'm gonna leave it at that with my rambles. I do find out on Friday when she's gonna be born at my doctor's appointment. I get my date. Hopefully I get my date. Crossing my fingers that I get my date. So yeah, I think we're going to leave it at that. Thank you guys for hanging out with me while I rambled. It'll be interesting to see if I remember what I said. It'll be interesting to watch this back because I don't remember what I said. Let's do it that way. I don't remember what all we already talked about. So I will see you guys hopefully in January for sure with some finished stuff before baby. I know it'll be 1 year since I started this. I did take a couple months off because I was super sick and tired, but we have almost done this for a year. 1 video a month for a year. How fun is that? So thank you guys again for hanging out with me. Feel free to subscribe if you want to. If you don't, you don't. Thank you. Bye.